the man walk off, have some time to himself, sit down, soak it up, and come up with what he need to do.
T.I.'s son, King Harris, has been arrested after not appearing in court and some other things connected to his...
Steve Sadar reached out to me looking to make a deal on behalf of T.I. and Tiny. And I told Steve Sadar that my clients want justice. So if the deal involves Tiny and T.I. turning themselves in and admitting to the crime that they've committed, then fine, we got a deal. But if it does not, then I would prefer to have the investigators do their work and to bring criminal charges against Tiny and T.I.
The whole world is locked in right now, eyes glued on the Harris family, because what's going down with King Harris inside that Georgia prison feels like a real-life movie, but darker, bloodier, and way more dangerous than anything Hollywood could write. King, the son of hip-hop legend T.I. and Tiny, isn't just in trouble. He's fighting for his life in intensive care after what's being called a savage, pre-planned ambush that left him barely breathing. The way insiders describe it, this wasn't just a scuffle or a heat-of-the-moment fight. It was a setup. Witnesses said the scene inside the prison block looked like a gangster flick. Blood on the floor, chaos breaking out, guards scrambling, alarms blaring, and King's limp body dragged out while riots kicked off around him. That's how wild it was. Now, instead of flexing his usual bravado, he's stretched out on a hospital bed, swollen and broken, while his famous family is falling apart behind the scenes. And the whispers spreading through those prison walls are even darker than the headlines. Word is, this was a hit. A deliberate ambush meant to send a message. Fame don't buy you respect behind bars, and weakness gets exposed instantly. From the moment the story leaked, the internet went into meltdown. Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, every platform lit up like fireworks, with fans, haters, and trolls all weighing in. Some showed sympathy, dropping prayers and saying nobody deserves to get jumped like that. But a whole other crowd mocked him, saying things like, now he's finally tasting the real world, or this is what happens when you play tough but ain't built for it. The comment sections are ruthless, and while the world is laughing, the Harris family is in full-blown panic mode, scrambling behind the scenes to protect their son before this turns into something even worse. Insiders say this might not be the last attempt on King's life, and the paranoia inside the Harris household is at an all-time high. Every hour feels like a ticking clock, and the family that once sold itself as a reality TV version of Black royalty is cracking under the pressure.
So the dynamics here are interesting, but I can't judge how the parenting is gone, because everything that we've seen has been stuff that many of us would have said or similar if we saw our children do this. But I will say this. A lot of what's happening is because it's in the public. Like most children don't have to do this in the public.
T.I., the man who built a career calling himself the King of the South, is said to be restless, pacing, burning phone lines with calls to attorneys, politicians, and even top dogs inside Georgia's Department of Corrections. Reports claim he hasn't slept since the ambush, and he's ready to cut any check, sign any NDA, or make any deal necessary to keep King alive. Imagine that. Hip-hop royalty begging the very system they use to rap against for mercy, all because their son is now trapped in the belly of the beast. Meanwhile, Tiny is reportedly running her own war room, leaning on lawyers, publicists, and media contacts to try and control the narrative before it spins out of control. But instead of a united front, insiders say she and T.I. are clashing hard, pointing fingers, blaming each other for how King ended up in this nightmare. Their arguments have supposedly gotten explosive, with friends close to the couple whispering that the marriage itself might be hanging by a thread. Some even question if they're fighting for King's survival or just fighting each other, because all this drama has ripped the mask right off the perfect family image they pushed for years. Behind the curtain, it's chaos. Every call, every meeting, every leaked headline only adds more gasoline to the fire. The same Harris family that used to thrive on fame is now being suffocated by it, as their personal crisis gets turned into a public spectacle. Even worse, rumors swirling inside the prison suggest this attack wasn't about petty disrespect at all. It might have been connected to a contraband deal gone wrong. Word is, King either refused to cooperate or tried to finesse the wrong crew. And in prison, loyalty is life. One bad move can get you marked. And if the whispers are true, that's exactly what happened. Sources claim King was lured into a trap, cornered in a blind spot where surveillance cameras just happened to go dark. Officials call it a technical glitch, but come on, nobody's buying that. As one of T.I.'s old road managers put it, in Georgia, cameras break when they need to break. Translation? Somebody made sure there were no eyes on that ambush. And here's the part that makes this whole thing even scarier. This isn't the first time King's behavior has set off alarms. We all remember that infamous Falcons game when T.I. put his own son in a headlock on Instagram Live after another blow-up over King's wild antics. Back then, people thought it was embarrassing family drama for clout, maybe even staged. But now, looking back, that was just a preview of the chaos we're seeing today.
I really admire his dedication and commitment to the craft, because, I kind of told him, what was wrong about it.
King's been playing with fire for a long time, flexing online, calling out rivals, acting untouchable even behind bars. And it looks like the older seasoned inmates finally decided to check him. One former inmate put it plainly, "We're not here for the reality show. We don't care who your daddy is. If you don't pay what you owe or you run your mouth, you get handled." That's the prison code, and now King is living the consequences. While he's clinging to life in the hospital, T.I.'s PR team is scrambling to flip the script, pushing stories that make King look like a victim of a broken system instead of a flashy celebrity who got humbled. It's a classic crisis management move. Shift the spotlight from King's mistakes onto the bigger picture of prison corruption. But even with all that spin, the haunting question hangs in the air. Is it already too late to save him? What if this ambush wasn't just punishment for his behavior, but the start of something much bigger, something King and his family can't buy their way out of? The deeper you look, the messier this whole situation gets. Because inside that Georgia prison, people are whispering this wasn't about clout, respect, or some petty beef. It was business, prison business. The kind where one wrong move can get you set up real quick. Word on the block is that King might have been tied to a contraband deal that went sideways. Some insiders claim he refused to pay up, others say he tried to finesse the wrong crew, and a few even hint he might have been labeled as a snitch. And in prison, being branded as either one is basically a death sentence. To make it worse, multiple sources say King wasn't just in the wrong place at the wrong time. He was lured. People are claiming he got cornered in a part of the facility where 3 men jumped him, and conveniently, the cameras went out at that exact moment.
Making mistakes. I ain't had no daddy who would pull up and get on my ass anytime. Things I did, you can't get away with.
I know that.
Officials swear it was just a glitch, but everybody knows better. As one source flat out put it, Georgia cameras don't break unless somebody wants them to break. That's not coincidence, that's orchestration. And if that's true, King wasn't just unlucky, he was targeted, and his family's name made him the perfect pawn in somebody else's game. Meanwhile, his condition remains unstable, and the pressure outside those prison walls is boiling over. The Harris family can't hide the cracks anymore. Remember that Falcons game moment where T.I. put King in a chokehold live on camera? Back then it looked wild, but it's child's play compared to this. Now Tiny and T.I. are in a war room-style standoff, clashing over every single decision. Tiny reportedly wants to shield King, blaming the system and enemies out to get their family. T.I., on the other hand, is said to be furious, pushing for force, power moves, and straight-up discipline. Their arguments are blowing up daily, so bad that people close to them say this is the worst crisis they've ever faced. Bigger than lawsuits, bigger than scandals, bigger even than their reality show cancellation. The fights aren't just about saving their son, they're about the family's survival as a brand. Insiders say the Harris Dynasty, once seen as untouchable, is now unraveling in front of everybody's eyes. Every headline, every leaked story, every argument makes the collapse look more inevitable. The emotional toll is spilling across the whole household. Other kids caught in the crossfire, friends forced to pick sides, and enemies using the moment to pour more dirt on their name. It's chaos on top of chaos, and nobody's winning. And the drama doesn't stop with the family battles, because the Harris name has never been clean in the public eye.
Man, damn. Yeah, that's I ain't see that one coming. You know
Really?
what I mean? Nah, I didn't.
Those old scandals that people thought were buried, they're back in circulation, fueling the fire. The shadow of those human trafficking allegations that once shook T.I. and Tiny still hangs heavy over their image. Even though charges were never pressed, in the court of public opinion, those whispers never went away. Now King, already in the middle of this prison nightmare, is being dragged into the mud too. People are resurfacing old accusations, linking his name to the family's messy past. Some even bring up Sabrina Peterson, the ex-friend who once promised to drop explosive receipts that would destroy the Harris legacy. The timing couldn't be worse. With King fighting for his life, those old allegations feel brand new again, giving enemies ammo and feeding conspiracy theories. And in prison, that reputation is poison. Inmates don't just see King as some celebrity's kid, they see him as the face of all that messy drama. For some, that's enough to mark him. As one ex-inmate explained, when they see an outsider with headlines, they make an example out of him, to the inmates, to the system, and to the world. King wasn't just King Harris anymore. He was a target painted with every scandal, every rumor, and every mistake his family ever made. But let's not forget the role King himself played in all this. He never kept a low profile, even behind bars. Word is, he tried to keep flexing for social media, sneaking out messages, hyping himself up as Atlanta's next big thing, calling out rivals like he was still on the outside. That didn't just annoy people, it infuriated them. Older prisoners who've been down for decades weren't having it. They saw him as soft, spoiled, and completely out of touch with reality.
Like the shocker is him coming out and his, I guess, reaction to it, right? Because everybody's saying, King, you grew up privileged, bro. Why are you going down this path? Now he's talking about F the police, F12. So, you know, it just, he.
One former inmate didn't sugarcoat it. We don't care about no celebrity. If you don't live by the code in here, you get checked, plain and simple. And that's exactly what happened. His privilege, his private school past, his reality TV fame, his parents' money, all of it made him stand out. Instead of protection, it painted a bullseye on his back. Add in his reputation for running his mouth, and it was only a matter of time before somebody came for him. This wasn't jealousy alone. It was survival politics inside the prison system, and King, instead of playing it smart, kept feeding the fire with his actions. Now, outside the prison walls, the Harris family is running the classic celebrity crisis playbook, shift the blame. Reports say T.I.'s team is quietly feeding stories to sympathetic outlets, framing King as the victim of a corrupt system, painting the prison as unsafe, and calling the whole thing a failure of Georgia's Department of Corrections. The strategy is obvious: turn public outrage against the system instead of King. But at the same time, insiders claim T.I. is ready to go nuclear, threatening to leak damaging information about conditions inside if the state doesn't move to protect his son. That's a dangerous game, because while the media eats up the drama, people inside the prison see it differently. The more noise T.I. makes, the bigger the target grows on King's back. Some relatives reportedly begged the family to stay quiet, warning that the more headlines they chase, the deeper in danger King becomes. But others argue silence looks weak, and weakness is never an option in a battle this big. It's a lose-lose situation, and the Harris Dynasty is stuck playing a game where every move could backfire. The stakes are no longer just about one son's safety, it's about their entire legacy, their name, their empire. And right now, all of it is hanging by a thread. The wildest part of all this is that it feels like we're only seeing the surface, because insiders swear the most shocking details about King's ambush haven't even come out yet. That's what makes this story so dangerous. It's not just about one young man getting jumped. It's about the Harris Dynasty's entire reputation being dragged through the mud, and it's exposing how fragile that empire really is. For years, they presented themselves as hip-hop royalty, reality TV gold, the picture-perfect brand of money, music, and fame. But now, that glossy image is falling apart in real time. And let's be real, behind those prison walls, fame doesn't protect you. It makes you a bigger target. Even some correctional officers admit off the record that inmates like King get treated like bargaining chips, used by rival factions as pawns in bigger power games. He wasn't just fighting for himself that day. He became the centerpiece in a war he didn't even understand. His last name, his reality TV past, his parents' scandals, it all added weight to his presence. To the men inside, he wasn't just another inmate, he was an opportunity to prove a point, and unfortunately, the proof came in blood. That's why this whole story feels like a slow-motion car crash, because from the second King walked through those prison gates, the deck was stacked against him. Some inmates hated him for his privileged background, mocking the fact he came from private schools and Instagram flexing instead of actual street corners. Others despised his constant need to prove himself, seeing right through the bravado, to the kid who'd been raised on reality shows and luxury. The prison yard doesn't care about fame, autographs, or viral clips. It runs on silence, loyalty, and respect. King failed that test the moment he tried to play tough. Add in whispers of a failed contraband deal, rumors of betrayal, and that infamous family baggage, and it's clear he was swimming with sharks. One wrong step was all it took. As one former Georgia inmate explained, "In there, betrayal ain't handled with words, it's handled with blood." That ambush wasn't random. It was the code being enforced, and King became the example. And now the fallout is spilling everywhere. Social media, gossip blogs, mainstream outlets, each one twisting the knife deeper into the Harris family's already raw wounds. The dirty laundry is out, and there's no stuffing it back inside. But here's the part that chills everybody to the bone. The justice system doesn't bend for celebrity. It breaks people, chews them up, and spits them out. King Harris is learning that the hardest way possible. All the money, all the lawyers, all the headlines in the world can't erase the fact that inside those walls, respect is the only currency that counts. Not platinum records, not reality TV contracts, not social media clout, just respect, loyalty, and silence. And King didn't earn that.
I graduated. That's the only good thing they posted of me going viral. I'm not on the media's good side. I don't know why, but...
And you can, you know what I'm saying, kind of woo-saw yourself outside of the public opinion.
Instead, he brought a storm with him, family scandals, flashy arrogance, and a target painted square on his back. That's why his situation feels like more than just one incident. It feels like the opening act in a saga that's only going to get darker. Insiders warn that this ambush could be the first move in a much bigger game, one that pits King not just against inmates, but against the very system his father is now fighting tooth and nail. And that raises the haunting question. Is King paying the price for his own choices, or is he the sacrifice for the Harris family's long trail of scandals, secrets, and enemies? Either way, the reality is brutal. High-profile inmates don't get passes, they get turned into trophies, and King, whether he likes it or not, has become the ultimate trophy inside Georgia's concrete jungle. Meanwhile, on the outside, the Harris household is burning from the inside out. Lawyers, PR teams, and family members are clashing about strategy. Some relatives say lay low, protect King quietly, and avoid making him look weak. Others say go loud, flip the narrative, and make him the poster child for prison reform. But while they argue, every headline makes things worse. Old paternity rumors resurface, past family disputes leak, and industry veterans pile on with whispers that the Harris name has always been messy behind closed doors. Even the other kids in the family are getting dragged into it, forced to carry speculation and blame for things they had nothing to do with. The line between private heartbreak and public scandal has completely disappeared. Every new leak, whether it comes from a guard, an anonymous insider, or a so-called family friend, pours more gasoline on the fire. The Harris brand, once untouchable, is turning into a circus, and everybody's tuning in to watch the meltdown. That's the cost of fame. When your family breaks, it breaks on a stage where the whole world can laugh, judge, and dissect it piece by piece. Step back and look at the bigger picture, and it's clear this story isn't about redemption yet. It's about survival. King Harris, once the wild child of hip-hop royalty, is now clinging to life while his family scrambles to hold on to an image that's collapsing in front of the entire world. T.I., once the king of the South, is pulling strings he never thought he'd pull, trying to outmaneuver a system that's already swallowed countless lives. Tiny, once the protective matriarch, is at war with her own husband over what it really takes to save their son. And the rest of the Harris family? They're caught in the blast zone, watching the dynasty shake under the weight of scandal, betrayal, and blood. Nobody knows how this ends, whether King finds redemption, whether the family patches things up, or whether this is the total collapse of one of hip-hop's most famous households. But one thing's certain, this story isn't over, not even close. Because in the shadows of prison walls and in the glare of public scandal, the Harris name is now written in a different kind of ink. Not the glossy ink of magazine covers, but the permanent stain of controversy. And every headline, every rumor, every leaked whisper is carving that stain deeper into history. King's fight is no longer just about freedom. It's about survival, legacy, and the price of a name too heavy to carry in a place where names mean nothing.